From Washington, Igor Volsky, the managing editor of ThinkProgress.org, and Ford O'Connell, Republican strategist. Both of you, thanks for being here. Obama has picked former U.S. ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, as his new national security advisor. Ford, let me start with you. Does her controversy over what she said about the September 11th attack in Benghazi undermine the credibility of her or not?
Well, absolutely. I think she comes in wounded. The president said that he picked Susan Rice to be the national security advisor because she's a patriot who puts country first. In reality, he promoted her to that position because she puts the administration first. The message here is tout the administration's line, be a loyal, companion to perpetuating whatever fairy tale about Benghazi they want, and you too can be promoted. So that's really what this is about, and Republicans are probably going to hold her, to the fire on this. But that said, though, again, she comes in as a wounded national security advisor.
Ford, we've seen the emails, we've seen the back and forth, and we know that when she appeared on those Sunday shows, she was following the best intelligence. They had the best intelligence available. She's a trusted advisor, and that's why he appointed her, and I think she's going to do a good job advising the president.
I fully disagree with you, Igor, because essentially if the intelligence said the earth was flat, would she have followed that intelligence as national security advisor?
Well, when
her job is to scrutinize intelligence. And that means America could be in trouble if she's that incompetent.
Ford, listen, it went through an interagency review. That's where the talking points came from. That's what she said. It's the end of the story. There's nothing
It's not the end of the story. Trust me, the American public wants to know how this happened, who's responsible, and how she can peddle and embellish a fairy tale about a video which we now know had to do with it whatsoever.
But that's
Trust me, President Obama is going to
video early on, which is why she talked about the video. I don't know why we're revisiting this. This is old hat. We've seen the video.
Because it goes to trust and transparency of this administration, and now we put her in charge of being the president's personal advisor to the Department of Defense and to the Secretary of State, and this is a real issue for Americans.
If you keep repeating Benghazi, I don't think it really...
It's not just Benghazi. She got a promotion here, and she was an ineffective UN secretary. She did nothing to get China and Russia on board in terms of Syria, and frankly, going back to Kenya in 1998, a lot of people thought she was a man.
Hang on. Okay, let me see the impact of this. Now, Rice will be replaced by Samantha Power, a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer, former journalist, also an advisor. She'll replace Rice at the UN. She's been on CBC a number of times. We just actually had her husband, Cass Sustain, on this program 2 weeks ago. Both Rice and Powers are seen as supporters of more interventionist U.S. foreign policy. What might their new roles mean, for example, in the crisis of Syria, where the French today, Ford, have confirmed the use of sarin gas? Would these two people, does it suggest that the U.S. may take a more interventionist policy?
I think it will. I think what really the job of Power and Rice is going to be going forward is to have the UN uphold its mandate of peacekeeping, and that's really where the UN is really let down here. We've got crises around the world, particularly in Syria, and the question is there aren't a lot of great options, but the UN's got to take the lead here and bring, stability to the region.
All right, there's another issue I want to quickly get on the table. As military chiefs appeared before a Senate Armed Services Committee yesterday to discuss the idea of military sexual abuse. The Defense Department estimates unwanted sexual contact rose 37% in 2012, 26,000 cases. Ford, real quick on that before I get to some polls.
It's a real problem, this sexual assault in the military. The problem here is, and Igor has pointed it out, is the situation with respect to the commanders and being able to knock down charges. Unfortunately, what the Chief of Staff of the Army is saying is that order and discipline is a key fact here with units, and essentially, this is not a democracy. The military runs on a very different beat of its own drum, and its job is to, make those orders work. And the question is how can we, minimize sexual assault and yet still have the units effectively obey orders?
All right, let me just quickly switch to polls. There's a lot going on in the U.S. You got a new poll from Bloomberg that says 47% of Americans believe the president is lying about not having prior knowledge about what happened in the IRS scandal targeting conservative groups, compared to 40% who believe he's telling the truth. A Wall Street Journal NBC News poll said 58% of Americans doubt the administration's honesty over the Benghazi affair, which we've just talked about with Susan Rice's appointment today. You got 58% that say the Justice Department subpoenas of phone records of journalists raises doubts, and 55% say the IRS scandal raises doubts.
These polls suggest essentially that the president's honesty and integrity are in question, and essentially as more is percolated down, this could be a real problem. Keep an eye on political independence, because that's where Obama's getting hurt the most with these scandals, and if an erosion of trust occurs with him, in fact, he will be a lame duck second-term president, and given the problems we have in America right now, that's not good for America.
Igor Volsky, Ford O'Connell, great to have you guys here. Boy, both countries are going through it. Interesting stuff. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.